this step-by-step system. You wanted to simplify all of the madness that comes from trying to understand and learn photography. What inspired you to do that?
What inspired me, and first of all, hello everybody, my name is Tim Shields, and my co-host today is Michael Mataluni. You forgot to introduce yourself. And but what inspired me is that I was sick and tired of the frustration that I felt over and over again when I was out in the field of not knowing kind of like the steps to follow to be able to take beautiful photos. I knew that I wanted to take beautiful photos. I saw everybody else online. I saw all their photos, but my photos never looked as good as them. So I created a step-by-step system. And what's really awesome about today, usually I only speak about landscape photography, but today we're going to be talking about landscapes. We're going to be talking about macro, talking about wildlife photography, like pictures of birds and animals, and also panoramas. So we have so much that you're going to learn today. It's going to be a really, really great presentation. It will be time well spent for you.
That's amazing. And we have a lot of folks joining us today. We have Leah from Vancouver, Michael from Maine, Jason from Texas, Vinay from India, Charlotte from Canada. This is truly a worldwide event. And I just want to encourage everybody to turn off any distractions. And so you can really focus today, take notes, grab a pen and a piece of paper. We're going to be turning off the chat here in a few minutes so we can focus on the presentation. But at the end, we're going to be doing a live Q&A. So any questions you have for Tim about specific techniques that we go over today, you'll be able to ask those at the end. So make sure you are taking notes and turn off any distractions.
Yeah, so we have got a poll that we posted in the chat, and I hope that you've had a second just to give your answer. And let's just quickly go over the poll results, and then we'll get with the program. The question for the poll is, what is your number one frustration with landscape photography? And I'm going to go in reverse order. So there were 4 possible responses, and response number 4 at only 7% of the responses is finding time or motivation to get out and shoot. And
that's actually awesome. Congratulations for you guys for having that motivation.
That means that people are motivated and they do have the time, which is really great. And response number 3 at 18% is post-processing your photos the right way. So that would be like editing your photos in Lightroom. So that was the 3rd response. The second response coming in at number 2 is at 29% of all responses. So getting up to kind of near a third, and that is finding good compositions when you are in the field. And I love that people recognize definitely a tough one. Yeah. Finding good compositions is a skill that has to be learned, and there definitely are some steps you can take so that you will have a system to use to find good compositions. But the number one response coming in at 40%. Now, this is the number one frustration of the 200 plus people who are joining us live right now, and it is not knowing what camera settings to use. And I know how you feel. I remember exactly what it felt like to be standing in front of my camera in hand, looking out at either a sunset, or maybe there's a sunset over top of a dark canyon. And I take that picture, I look at it on the back of my camera. It doesn't look good. Maybe the sky is washed out, or maybe things are out of focus, that it's blurry. That's all camera settings. And we're going to be talking about that today.
Amazing. Again, I'm going to be turning off the chat here in just a second. Tim, go ahead and take us away with the presentation. If you guys have questions, make sure you write those down. We're going to answer them live for you at the end of this session.
Yeah, so welcome to all of you. Let's get rolling. And you are going to learn today how to crack the code to take jaw-dropping photos. So it's important you know what the goal of the training is. So I'm going to go over that very briefly. There are essentially 4 levels of goals that we can have, that you can have as a photographer. And this web class is going to show you how to achieve any one of the 4 goals that specifically interest you personally. So what are these 4 goals? So the level 1 goal, and I've kind of split them up into different levels. The level 1 goal is that you're going to want to print your own favorite photo in a large format and put it on your wall at home. And every photographer should have this goal, and this web class is going to help you do that. So the level 1 goal is print your favorite photo and put it on the wall at home. A very noble goal. You should have that goal. The next level up, the level 2 goal, is that maybe you want to grow your social media presence. You want to create photos that are so beautiful that they will get more attention online. That's the level 2 goal that you may have. And the level 3 goal, the next step up above that, is that maybe you want to submit your best photos to photo contests and maybe win some awards. And finally, the level 4 goal, the top end goal, is that maybe you want to create photos that are so beautiful that people are going to buy them from you. So whatever your personal photography goal is, if it's level 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, or it's a combination of all 4 of them, this web class is going to help you get closer to reaching that goal. Now, the problem is that there are some roadblocks to success in photography. And if you think that you need to understand technical photography theory, things like the exposure triangle and all the complicated explanations, you don't have to understand that to be able to take gorgeous photos. If you think you need to own a super expensive camera and you need to have the best lens, you don't. And if you think that you need to practice for 10,000 hours, I am here to tell you, and I'm going to demonstrate to you, you don't. You can take beautiful photos by following a step-by-step system, which I'm going to show you today. So, Michael, what are people going to get when they watch this presentation and stay to the end?
Yeah, so absolutely. So 3 things. 1, you're going to get to have an opportunity to chat directly with Tim, so you can ask him any questions that you have. 2, you're going to get the 10 Sunset Photography Secrets, which is his brand new book, just released today. So anybody who is here is going to get that at the end of this web class. And you're also going to get 3 photography cheat codes that you must know. And these are all coming directly out of Photography Academy and the brain of Tim Shields.
Yeah, and you just need to stay to the end, and we will give you your own personal download link so that you can download those books.
Yeah, and if you're new here, if you don't know who Tim Shields is, he's the founder of Photography Academy. He's trained over 400,000 photographers. He's the author of the Photo Cookbook, which is on, I think it's fourth run right now, 4th printing. He is the creator of the Photography Transformation 4-Step System and a master photographer in fine art with MPI. And I think, just so you folks know, the fact that he's broken down a complicated subject to make it simple and step-by-step is the reason that he's been able to have so much success with so many students. So make sure you're taking notes and you're paying attention.
Thanks, Michael. So how on earth did I get here? And I have to go back in time just a little bit. This is a photo of me back in 2009. And
so young.
Yeah,
time ago,
yeah,
huh?
I know. That's the young me. Time waits for no one, Michael, even you.
Hey.
So for my entire life, I have always loved taking pictures, and I considered myself a pretty good photographer. My education is actually in civil and structural engineering, and I had a full-time job as a civil servant, but in my spare time, I loved going out and taking pictures of anything I could find because photography was my hobby. And this was a typical landscape photo that I would take back in 2009. It's typical of my photography work back then, but unfortunately, it's a very forgettable photo because this photo is very amateur and it's very average. Here's a typical macro photo that I used to take. It's also just really, really typical, nothing special about it. Here's a typical shot that I thought was interesting. This is from Lake Havasu, California. I thought it was interesting. It was like, oh, wow, 2 palm trees forming a V. That must be a photo. But yet, it's a forgettable photo. It's not something that I would ever want to print and put on my wall. And of course, sunsets. We all love taking sunset shots. This is another 2009 sunset shot. Sure, there's a sunset there and the sky's not blown out, but it's an amateur photo. It's forgettable. It's not something I would want to print on my wall. And even my own version of wildlife photography back then, sure, it's kind of a nice picture of some horses, but it's not a wow photo. It's missing that spice, that pizzazz, that pop, the thing that makes it unique and makes it that difference from just a picture into something that is truly fine art landscape photography. There's really a big difference, and I just didn't have it at that time. So back then, my photography literally was all over the map. I was trying all kinds of genres of photography, but I wanted to be good. I was actually average, which meant to me that I was bad. My photography was not growing because I wasn't getting better. And this frustrated me through my photography failures, and it eroded my confidence and often made me want to quit. I was trying to master everything. I was trying to be good at everything. But you know the saying about being a jack of all trades and master of none? Well, I was a master of none. There was nothing about my photography that I was actually proud of. And when I looked at the photos of other good photographers, I felt completely intimidated. I was trying to learn on my own. I watched all the YouTube video training that I could get my hands on, but I was a lone wolf learner and I was not getting any better. But what I really wanted was to learn the fast way. I wanted the fast track. And you know that principle that it takes 10,000 hours to master a skill? Well, I didn't have that much time, and neither do you. I wanted to crack the code on panorama photography specifically, and I wanted to learn it really quickly. So my own efforts in learning it were failing me, and I knew I needed to do something different. So I began looking for an expert to help me learn panorama photography. And there was a local professional landscape photographer who lived near me. His name is Chris Collicott. I didn't know Chris at the time, but I had seen his pictures online. And he specialized in taking panorama landscape photos, and his pictures were in dozens of galleries in the city where I live. And this is one of Chris's panorama photos. I saw that online. I thought, wow, I want to be able to take panorama photos that look just like that. That looks just so cool. So one day I got all my nerve up and I sent him an email. I introduced myself and I asked Chris if he would teach me how to take panorama photos. And to my surprise, he said yes. This is another one of Chris's photos. So he and I went out for a couple of evening photo shoots and he taught me how to take panorama photos. What I found amazing was that I was able to learn most of the important things so quickly. He would say, do this, and then do that, and then do that. And presto, I was taking my own high-resolution panorama photos. My learning process was lightning fast. And right away, I began taking panorama photos on my own, like this one. And when I saw my own results, it built my confidence and my excitement for my own photography. And it made me want to go out and take pictures again. My interest in landscape panorama photography grew, and it became my real passion, and it eventually became my specialty. And I spent my photography efforts working on this one genre of photography, and I began to get recognized for my landscape panoramas like this one. And I entered some of them into some contests and began winning some awards and eventually selling my photos. And eventually I launched my own full-time photography career based on my success with panoramas. And from there, after mastering panoramas, I moved on and began spending more time with wildlife photography. And now I enjoy wildlife photography just as much as I do landscape photography. I'm proud of my photos now, and I have them printed in large format on the wall in my home. And that's my goal for you, which is that you will take your own photos that look so good, you'll be proud of them, and you'll want to print them big and put them on your wall at home. So how was it that I could transform from where I was before, a frustrated, unfocused, and very average picture taker, into the person I am today, who is passionate about photography and who is able to take professional photos? There is no faster way to learn a skill than to have someone who has already mastered the skill show you the steps you need to take. It reduces frustration, it gives you hope, it leads to quick wins and instant success, which in turn builds your confidence. And when your confidence is built, it makes you feel passionate and excited about your photography. So if you want to crack the code so you can take stunning photos, there are 3 cheat codes, I call them, that you need to know. And I'm going to show you them right now. So these cheat codes, I'm calling them 3 secrets. Secret number 1, how you can fast track your success and forget the 10,000 hour learning rule. Secret number 2, how beginners can take magazine quality photos just like the pros. And secret number 3, how you can take the best photos of your life, even if you're just staying close to home and you're not traveling far away. So let's get started with secret number 1 so you can fast track your success and forget about that darn 10,000 hour learning rule. So I want to introduce you to my wife. Her name is Leah, and we've been married for 33 years. Leah loves taking pictures. She actually shoots most of the outdoor videos that you see me in through Photography Academy, and she's a great landscape and especially flower photographer. A year ago, we planned a wildlife photography trip to photograph grizzly bears. So she bought that new 600 millimeter lens that you see in the picture, and she planned to use it with her Sony mirrorless camera. So we arrived at a very remote grizzly bear photography location, and we would be photographing the grizzly bears from a small boat in a river. And there were other boats there as well with other professional looking photographers. And these photographers looked really experienced. They had expensive looking cameras and lenses. And Leah realized that she didn't feel confident with her camera settings on her camera to photograph moving grizzly bears from a rocking boat. I mean, if I just go back in that slide, like you look at those people, look at them with their menacing looking face masks and sunglasses and those big lenses, like they look intimidating. Have you ever felt like that? You look at other photographers with all their super expensive gear and you think, oh, wow, those people really know what they're doing. And it kind of makes me feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. And good thing they don't know I'm actually a little bit insecure. Now, introduce here David Hemmings, the guy in the back of the boat. He was our guide for this grizzly bear photography trip. And David is an award-winning wildlife photographer. He has been hosting wildlife photography workshops for decades all around the world, from Costa Rica to the Galapagos Islands to Alaska and everywhere in between. David Hemmings has taught thousands of photographers how to take amazing wildlife photos. And he just happened to be the host of this grizzly bear photography tour that we were on. So Leah asked David how to set up her camera so that she would get tack sharp photos of moving grizzly bears from a rocking boat. And in about 3 minutes, he showed her the perfect camera settings to use. And here are Leah's results. These are some of her photos from that trip after an expert showed her what to do. She was able to take photos that are tack sharp, even though she was in a moving boat being rocked by the waves, and was shooting with a very long lens, which normally causes blurry photos. And she was able to capture the action and shoot rapid fire to capture the best moments in time. And when Leah saw that her photos were turning out perfectly, it instantly built her confidence and her passion for wildlife photography. So, would you like to see the easy camera settings for your camera? And if you could turn on the chat, Michael, so that you can photograph wildlife just like Leah did.
Yeah, and if the answer is yes, just drop it in the chat real quick. We're going to walk you through those. But I just want to say quickly, the power and reiterate what you mentioned is she had an expert who taught her a very simple step-by-step process that took 3 minutes. She was able to use that, put it into action, and then that built the confidence. And there's just this snowball effect when you have somebody who can teach you that step-by-step where you don't have to know all the technical jargon and all the details that so many folks feel like they need to know in order to get started.
Yeah, absolutely. So here they are.
We have a lot of yeses, so let's
Oh, yeah. Yes, give it to me, says Henry B. French. Anna Marie. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, yeah, says Johnny Gomez. Okay, perfect. Yes, please, says Graham Armitage. So here they are. How to take perfectly sharp wildlife photos. Here's the recipe you can follow, just like a recipe in the kitchen. You want to bake a loaf of bread from scratch in the kitchen? All you need is a recipe. And even someone like me who essentially cannot cook, well, I can follow steps. I can follow a recipe. So here it is. So you have, here's the problem. You have about 1,000 possible buttons and menu settings on your camera, but there are only 3 in particular that are the most important. It's very similar to your car. To drive your car, you really only use 3 controls. You use the steering wheel, the gas pedal, and the brake pedal. And it's the same thing on your camera. There are only 3 controls that truly matter. And to change them, you need to get your camera out of auto mode. So step number 1 is to select manual mode for your camera. This is sometimes a scary thing for photographers, like, oh, no, I'm not going into manual mode. I failed at that before, but that's what you need to do here. Get your camera into manual mode because you are going to be driving this car. The car's not driving for you. It's not scary when you really see how easy this is. This means you're taking over control and you are going to drive the car. Step 2, remember I said there are just 3 levers to pull when you're setting up your camera. Well, the first one is called aperture, which is commonly referred to as f-stop. That's an interchangeable term. F-stop, aperture, it means the same thing. And you need to select the lowest aperture number, the lowest f-stop number that your camera and lens allows. So choose the lowest number available, such as f4 or f5.6. The lower, the better. It will let in more light. And you want tack sharp photos, right? Well, tack sharp photos are the hallmark of every good wildlife photo. The shutter speed is the lever you need to pull that will get you tack sharp photos, and it will freeze the action of moving subjects, which gives you a tack sharp photo. But here's the real secret. The longer your lens is, in other words, the more zoom your lens is, and even physically, the longer your lens is, the faster your shutter speed needs to be. So a great rule of thumb for wildlife is to double the lens focal length when you're taking pictures of walking animals. So what is the focal length? Well, it's actually printed on your lens. Remember I said that Leah had bought that really nice 600 millimeter zoom lens? The focal length of that lens is 600 millimeters. millimeters. So because her lens was 600 millimeters, then her shutter speed needed to be doubled. So we take the 600, which is the focal length of the lens, and multiply it times 2. Very, very easy math. So that comes out to 1200. So the shutter speed needs to be 1/1200th of a second, double the focal length of the lens, and that will give you the shutter speed you need to use for animals that are at walking speed. And this is how you get sharp photos of moving subjects. So step 3 is to choose a shutter speed that is double the focal length of the lens. Very, very easy. And step 4, now this is another big secret to getting tack sharp wildlife photos. The third lever, remember I said there are 3 levers on your camera that you need to pay attention to. The third one is called ISO. And for a wildlife setting, you want to choose auto ISO so that the camera will automatically adjust that ISO number while you are taking photos. And this means that the camera will brighten or darken the photo automatically. So step 4 is to choose auto ISO. So here it is in summary for the perfect wildlife camera settings for animals that are at walking speed. Step 1, change your camera into manual mode. Step 2, lower the aperture number, the f-stop number, to its lowest setting. Step 3, change your shutter speed to be double the focal length of your lens. And step 4, set your camera to auto ISO. There's more I could say about how to focus perfectly on a moving subject. I don't have time to get into that today, but the main thing is that with these easy settings, you will get tack sharp photos of moving, walking animals. So you just saw how an expert was able to change Leah's photography in just minutes, but this principle has not only worked for her. I want you to read what one of my photography students had to say after taking similar training from me. This is from Shane, and Shane wrote in on Google Reviews, "The session with Tim was great. I learned so much in a short time. Thanks, Tim." And the reason I'm showing you this is not to pump up my own tires. It's to give you the belief that this really works, and it's worked for Shane, and therefore it will work for you. Not only has it worked for Shane, it has worked for Paula Varner. And she wrote in on Google Reviews, "I learned more in these 3 months by taking Tim's classes than the previous 10 years. Here is what Craig Johnson had to say. "I needed a